Lastly, drawing the car. Again, this is another cube. It's just a much larger cube than a stapler or a chair. So we're going to see the effect of perspective quite a bit more. So you have this line on the side of the car here and this one on the hood. You can see how the pencils, as they go towards one another, they're converging. Things are getting smaller as you get further away. There's even a little bit of perspective, not quite as much because this side's not as long, but you see the top of the cab here and the bumper there. Again, you see how those lines converge towards one another. So as we're drawing, keep that in mind. Again, we want to start with these two bottom lines with our cubes because that's going to set up everything else. So I'm going to start with the long side here and then the short side going in this direction. Just kind of checking my angles. Now I want to check my proportions, the length. And I'm going to measure the width of this vehicle with my pencil and my thumb. Compare that to the length. Put my finger at the end of my pencil. And it's a little over 1.5. I'm sorry, a little bit less than 1.5. So a little bit more than 1.5. So I'll take my width that I have, let's say here, I'm going to come in a little bit, mark my corner here, and I'll take a guesstimate, and I'll go like 1, and I think I can go a little bit wider. Let's try there. 1. Okay, or I can shorten my vehicle. Let's try that one last time, hopefully. Third time's a charm. Okay, that'll do it, I think. So we use this as the width of my vehicle, and this is the length. See, it's only 5 lines. It's not a lot of work, but it's really going to set the table for success in the end, for everything coming out right. Now I'm going to start to draw this lower cube, and then we'll stack the cab, which is the upper cube, on top of that. And then lastly, I might throw in the wheels just to make it look like a car, even though we're dealing with cubes right now. So as I start to draw the front of the car, I'm not looking at any of the details. I'm trying to see like a box or a rectangle, put this whole area here into a rectangle. So I'm estimating the proportions of that. I'm looking at that angle. This is starting to come down. The other side is starting to get a little bit smaller. So I'm going to draw that as just a rectangle. And then I'm going to go back in space here, or actually basically just draw an angle. I'm not actually going back in space, creating the illusion of going back in space with this angle, but those lines are going to converge as they go back as well. Then I'm going to, it almost seems like I went down a little bit too much. I'm going to make that a little bit taller. Constantly adjusting. Okay, and then I'm going to estimate, I'm going to draw this line going back here for the hood. Then I'm looking at the shape of this hood here, and I'm going to estimate, you know, that shape. I'm looking at that shape, the angle of the sides and how big it is. This would be the base of my windshield here. Maybe bring that angle seems, I want to bring that down a little bit more. I think that angle, yeah. Bring that down like that. Okay, then that should be where my windshield is. We'll see how this all works out when I get to the end here. That windshield goes at this angle. This corner of the windshield goes at more of an upward angle. Draw the windshield, top of the windshield coming across. And again, these angles are changing as we go up closer to eye level. Things change. You got to imagine like a shelf over here. If you were looking at a something like this, as we, you know, the bottom might be like this, top might be like this. As you move upward, that angle changes. These are all going towards a vanishing point off in the distance somewhere. So that's what we have going on here. Okay, this goes back like that. Going to start to divide up this into, kind of help me figure out the length of the vehicle there. Okay, that looks good. The top, It's kind of rounded, so you don't see the back corner that much. So I'm just going to kind of curve this, kind of bring that over like that. This looks like maybe it angles a little bit more. Okay, this goes down a little bit. And then the trunk, there's kind of a little bit of a fin there. The trunk, you can just see a little bit of it back there. Okay, whoops, I cut off the back corner of the car there when I folded it. That's all right, I'm just kind of getting the basics. Step back, look at it. Proportions seem all right. Seems a little bit long in the front, but you know, that could be adjusted. I could, you know, shorten that. I could redraw all of this, move it forward a little bit, but I could do that, you know, later on. But I'm just going to continue for now. Okay, carve out your wheel wells. Could start with just those being like cubes at first. And this one's not quite the same, it's a little bit lower. Corner is right in there. Okay, then you would just, you know, add your detail from there. I'm not going to go into the detail. I'll let you guys work on the detail, but you know, you could divide up, you could figure out where the center of this is. Okay, you've got this ridge kind of going down the center of the hood. You have the grill that kind of comes to a point in the center. You estimate that. You divide up the space, you know, for where the bumper is, separated from the grill. You break it down. You keep breaking it down, and you know, I'm just going to roughly suggest where the headlights would be. I would do more detail later on, but that's the foundation for everything else that's going to come in here. You know, you would start to curve this a little bit, adjust it as needed. You know, round that off, add your bumper, so on and so forth.